Treasurer Josh Frydenberg is taking a tough line on Facebook.
If anything, Facebook's actions have hardened the government's resolve.
His statement follows the company's move to block Australian news pages in retaliation to the government push to get the conglomerate to pay Australian publications for their content. The Prime Minister says he wants to keep communications open with Facebook.
It's not okay to unfriend Australia because Australia is very friendly. We'd like to remain very friendly, and it's time for them to friend us again.
Mr Morrison says Australia is trying to form a coalition to take on Facebook and says the leaders of Canada and Great Britain are supportive.
I've had these exchanges also with Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know Prime Minister Johnson is very interested. I've spoken to President Macron about these things. So there is a lot of world interest in what Australia is doing.
Media ownership dominated debate in Canberra today. Senators examined the diversity of Australia's media landscape. Former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd was first up.
The reason I'm here, Senators, is because more than 500,000 Australians signed a petition.
The former PM has long left the building, but today he was continuing to call for a royal commission into the dominance of the Murdoch media, which includes Sky News and social media giants. Mr Rudd alleges too much power is held by too few.
What I am deeply concerned about is monopoly as a matter of principle and its impact on behaviours over time.
Insisting
no one should be frightened of Murdoch. But let me tell you, he's a frightening sort of guy because of the power that he wields.
For a former Prime Minister, it's clearly personal.
I mean, they did that to me as well when I was Prime Minister.
Neglecting to mention the support most News Corp publications gave him in 2007 when they editorialised in his favour.
It is the conflation of news reporting with editorial opinion.
Bringing his own props.
The question is that, Senator, a piece of objective news reporting?
From having been in lockdown for 5 months last year, I think it's a very fair piece of journalism.
Liberal Senator Gerard Rennick arguing print newspapers and their influence are in decline, a monopoly, an impossibility.
Of the top 10 internet sites in this country, one of them are Murdoch. So how can you say that Murdoch has a monopoly in this country when he owns no free-to-air networks? He has one in the top 10 news platforms. Is this inquiry not based on a lie?
Well, Senator, what I have said repeatedly is that Murdoch has a print monopoly.
A point disputed by Michael Miller, News Corp's Australasia Executive Chairman.
I'm happy to go through every one of Mr Rudd's 56 points that he made in his submission. Not only are they misleading, they're without fact. There are 46 newspapers printed in Queensland. News Corp prints 6 of them.
And all those publications are headed up by bosses maintaining editorial independence.
So the editors of each individual publication have the right to choose how and what they publish?
They do.
With social media and traditional outlets casting a close eye over the news, the inquiry heard there's never actually been more choice over where people can source their information or greater scrutiny over what makes it to print.
It's in the interests of professional media to get it right.
Do you accept the assertion that News Corp makes or breaks Prime Ministers?
That Australians are smart. They make up their own minds.
Jonathan Lee, Sky News, Canberra.